Hey you, want to deploy your single page web application onto the internet? In today's video, I'll walk you through the process using the AWS CDK and CLI. I'll show you how to deploy a Route 53 hosted zone, a CloudFront distribution, and an S3 bucket. Whether you're a seasoned developer or just starting out, this step-by-step guide will show you how to harness the power of AWS to deploy your web app in minutes. Hi, if you're new around here, my name is Ryan. I'm an AWS certified solutions architect and developer, and my goal is to teach you modern serverless system design using AWS. Let's get it. All right, so in this video, I'm going to show you a really simple method for hosting a single page web application on the internet. We're going to use AWS for this, and we're going to deploy all of our infrastructure using the AWS CDK. For the web application itself, I have a really simple Vue application that I have on my GitHub, but what we're going to build today will also be available in a repository on my GitHub. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to use the CDK to build and deploy our infrastructure. Our infrastructure is just going to include 4 pieces, and that is an S3 bucket, a Route 53 hosted zone, an ACM certificate, which is just an SSL certificate, and a CloudFront distribution. The next part of this architecture is going to require us to do a little bit of name server switching based on where we have our domain name hosted. In my case, it's just going to be cloudmancermedia.com. I'm actually hosting it inside of GoDaddy. So when we go to deploy this infrastructure, Route 53 is going to create a hosted zone with the same name of cloudmancermedia.com. That hosted zone is going to have 4 name servers assigned to it. Those 4 name servers will go into GoDaddy, and we will change our name servers for our domain to match the name servers given to us in the hosted zone. Once that happens, it will allow our SSL certificate to properly validate and be issued, and will allow us to access our website on the internet using HTTPS. Once the certificate is done, the CloudFront distribution will then deploy. Now, once this finishes, nothing is going to happen because we have nothing in our S3 bucket, and our S3 bucket is going to be our origin for our CloudFront distribution. So for step number 3, we're just going to build our Vue.js app. Vue is just what I'm most comfortable with. However, any framework that allows for single page web applications like React, Angular, or Svelte can also be used here. Okay, so once we build our Vue application, it's going to output all of its artifacts into the dist folder. We're then going to use the AWS CLI to copy all of the files in the dist folder to our new S3 bucket. And once we finish that, on step 4 here, we're going to be able to go to cloudmancermedia.com and visit our new website. So let's jump into the code and start building. All right, so jumping into the code here, the first thing I'm going to do is just clone the Vue application so you can see what it looks like locally. All right, I'm just going to copy this from my GitHub here, but again, I'll have it linked down in the comments as well. We'll just git clone it. We'll cd in, install the dependencies, then just npm run dev. All right, here's our Vue app. Very simple. The only thing I changed was welcome to Cloudmancer Media. All right, great. So let's make our CDK project now. We'll just call it CDK SPA deployment. We'll cd into the directory, and then we'll just CDK init app-l TypeScript. Okay, perfect. So we'll open up the project and we'll go over here to our lib folder and open up the stack. We'll just clean up these imports and destructure them, and we'll clean out all of this commented code. I'll actually jump here into bin as well and just clean this up too. All right, the first thing we're going to do is just declare our domain name. And that'll just be set to a string, just whatever domain name you're going to use. Next thing we'll do is we'll create the Route 53 hosted zone, import it from Route 53. We'll plug in this for the context. Logical resource name will just be hosted zone. And this will just take in one parameter. It'll just be zone name. And we'll set it equal to our domain name. This will give us the Route 53 hosted zone that's named exactly as our domain is. Next, we'll create the ACM certificate, which is just our SSL certificate. So const cert is equal to a new certificate. Make sure you import certificate from certificate manager and not from crypto. Plug in this, we'll call this cert. And this is going to take in 2 parameters. We're going to give it domain name, which is just going to be set to our domain name, of course. And then validation is going to be set to certificate validation dot from DNS. And then we'll just plug in our hosted zone. Remember, this validation won't finish until we change over the name servers wherever our domain is hosted and point them to the name servers that were given to us by the hosted zone that we created in Route 53. Again, I'll walk you through all of this as we deploy. All right, the next thing we're going to do is create our S3 bucket that's going to house all of our files. So we'll do const frontend bucket equals a new bucket. We'll plug in this. We'll just call it Cloudmancer Media website hosting. We'll set the removal policy to removal policy.destroy, just so that when we go to delete our CloudFormation stack, it will also delete our S3 bucket. And we'll set auto delete objects to true as well. Next, we're going to create an origin access identity. The origin access identity will effectively make it so that our bucket can only be accessed via the CloudFront distribution. So we'll do const OAI is equal to a new origin access identity. We'll plug in this, and we'll just call it OAI. Next, we're going to take our front end bucket dot grant read to the origin access identity. Next, we'll create our CloudFront distribution. Const distribution is equal to a new distribution imported from CloudFront. We'll call it this. Logical resource name will just be distribution. Then we're going to plug in a few things here. The first will be default root object. When we build our view application, that's just going to be index.html. This will tell the CloudFront distribution to serve that file whenever anybody goes to our homepage. Next, we'll define a default behavior, and we'll set that equal to an object. That's going to take in the parameter of origin. Origin is just going to be set to a new S3 origin. The S3 origin will take in a couple of arguments. First will be our front end bucket. Next, we'll pass in an object with one property, just origin access identity, and we'll set that equal to the OAI that we defined earlier. The next thing we'll declare in the default behavior is the viewer protocol policy. That will just be set to viewer protocol policy here, dot redirect to HTTPS. This will force anyone who goes to our website to have to use HTTPS. Next, after default behavior, we'll set domain names equal to an array, where we'll just pass in our single domain name, and we'll pass in our certificate as our cert that we defined earlier. All right, and the final thing that we're going to do is create a new alias record. We'll do const a record is equal to a new a record. Pass in this logical resource name will just be a record. Then we'll pass in the properties. The first being zone, we'll set that equal to hosted zone, and target will be set to record target dot from alias, which will take in one argument. That one argument will be a new CloudFront target in which we will pass in our distribution. The reason we're creating this a record here is so that traffic that goes to our hosted zone will know to be redirected to our CloudFront distribution. All right, next step is to deploy this, but first, if you're getting value from this, please don't forget to like the video. And please let me know down in the comments if there's any other videos that you want to see me make. We'll do CDK deploy -- profile Cloudmancer. If you don't know what profiles are, you can watch this video that I made about the topic a few weeks ago. All right, let's go. We'll agree to deploy the changes. And then as soon as we see this hosted zone being created, we'll move on to step 2 where we change over our name servers. Great, there's our hosted zone. Let's hop into the console real quick. Okay, we can see our stack is deploying. If we go here to our hosted zone, we can see Cloudmancer Media was created as a hosted zone name. We'll go into that. We'll open hosted zone details here. We can note these 4 name servers right here. Just go ahead and copy those to your clipboard. So we're just in our GoDaddy account here. We can see cloudmancermedia.com. We're going to go to DNS. We'll click here at the top on name servers. We can scroll down here and we can just see that there's a couple of name servers that were by default assigned to this domain by GoDaddy when I bought it. So we'll just hit change name servers. I'll use my own name servers. All right, so we put all 4 name servers down here. We'll hit save. Sometimes this will ask you for 2-factor authentication. It didn't in this case. We'll hit continue. All right, and if we refresh the page, we can now see that we have those 4 name servers from our hosted zone. If we hop over here to ACM, we can see our cloudmancermedia.com domain name, and we can see that our certificate was issued. That was really quick. Sometimes this can take up to like 25 minutes. We can hop back into the code here and see that it's moved on to the CloudFront distribution. This usually takes about 5 minutes or so. All right, great. So it looks like that finished. Let's hop back into CloudFront and just look at our distribution. We can refresh here and we can see our CloudFront distribution was created. If we hop here into Route 53, we have a couple new entries. The first one we notice is a CNAME here, and that routes value to the ACM validations. So that's our certificate. And then on top here, we have an A record that is an alias that routes traffic to CloudFront. But if we go to cloudmancermedia.com, the specified key does not exist, and that's because there's nothing in the bucket. So let's fix that. Back in the code here, we'll just cd into our view app, and we'll just run npm run build. Great, so you can see the dist folder was created here. This is what we're going to upload to our S3 bucket. All right, so the command for that is going to be AWS S3 CP -- recursive to copy everything in the folder. We're going to point it to the dist/dot, so everything in the dist folder. And then we're going to do S3 : / our bucket name. And then we'll do -- profile Cloudmancer at the end so it knows which account to deploy it into. All right, looks like everything got uploaded successfully. All right, so that finishes step 3. Let's wrap it up with step 4 and see if we can visit our website. We can hop back over here and refresh. Hey, perfect. Now we can see that cloudmancermedia.com has our view app. So that about wraps up the video today. If you made it this far, please don't forget to like the video. And then don't forget to let me know down in the comments if there's any other videos that you want to see me make on this channel. Thank you for watching.